Stream of Consciousness, and today we will be discussing the church, charity, and community. This was inspired by an old TikTok drama where someone was calling churches asking if they could provide baby formula to a mother in need, and she was turned countless of times. So it brought up a conversation of how are you, as a profitable, tax-exempt organization, not capable of sparing $20 to help provide for a child, a mother in need when you are supposed to be a reflection of Christ. And I just wanted to give my 2 cents as someone who has not given tithe to the church for years now because I became concerned about how my liquid cash would be used. I came from a church that used to be proud, I come from churches that are proud to give their money to mission work, and mission work is just white savior complexes. And then I know that there are some churches that use their money to donate to conversion camps, and I'm just not comfortable with that. So, but I will also say that this reflects the concept of how some people won't give money to impoverished people or like homeless people because they think they're going to use it on drugs. But actually, let's put a pin in that. And I want to sort of ask, what is a church? Is it the building or is it the people? I think most people would answer the people. So the people that are part of the church are called the body of Christ, pretty much a unifying identity, a collective under a unifying identity that is like source or God, the universe. And this is where I sort of want to come, not yet, I'm jumping. So in a lot of ways, God is within each and every member of the church. God is within you, within your neighbor, and we are made in God's image. We are reflections of God. So let's go back to that homeless person that people don't want to give money to. When you give money to a homeless person, a person who is a reflection of God, it is like giving money to God. And then you would have faith in that person. It would be like having faith in God that that money would be used wisely. But then in the same way that that person is a reflection of God, you are also a reflection of God. When this person is asking, I need shelter to be provided for me. I need food to be provided for me. So you, a reflection of God, are answering their prayers by giving them the money that they need to cover their rent or get a motel or be able to eat dinner this way or to provide for their family. And something that I've heard people discuss, and I do believe it's true, the Christianity that we are practicing today is not the same Christianity that was practiced back in the day, because Christianity used to be a community-oriented religion, and that we experience God through each other. So, and then this is actually even reflected in the Bible. There's like 2 things, but I didn't actually write it down. It's in Proverbs 19:17, where they said, when you give to a person less fortunate, you are giving a loan to God and that you will be rewarded, which ties into karma, but I think I'll discuss that later. And then, and then there's another one that even Jesus said. He said something along the line of, everything you do to your less fortunate, you do unto me. So yeah, like every person on this planet is a reflection, like we're all made in God's image, correct? So we're all a reflection of God. So to deny your fellow man who needs whatever basic needs is to deny God. And I understand, and like this is where like I do challenge myself in a way where it's just like, yes, I don't want to give liquid cash to the church, but that doesn't mean that I don't get to just hoard all my wealth to myself. So I do give back, but not in ways that it's like, oh, I don't know how my money's going to be used. And that's where like that was the only part about like turning away the mother that I was like, that is actually so vile, because she wasn't asking for money. She was asking for a can of baby powder. Yeah, technically she could have turned around, sold the baby powder, and then used the money elsewhere. But then why wasn't she able to do that with whatever else she had? It really is one of those situations where you are being greedy and you're being selfish. So for me, I don't give liquid cash to the church anymore. I may give my time to the church because our most valuable resource is time. That one, you never get time back. Once it's spent, it's spent. And I also do donate like canned goods. That's what I do, because that one, I have some context of like what I'm like. I can't, like, how can food be bad? You know what I mean? And I understand, like, we live in a fat phobic society, so I do understand how someone's like, actually, like, honestly, being homeless and being homeless in a bigger body has to suck, because the stigma about having a bigger body is just not fair. Oh, my thing moved. Anyways, let's see if I can find my notes. Ooh, now I want to sort of kind of talk about the concept of stretching the dollar and how capitalism and our individualism is sort of like robbing us. Oh, hello. I can't see comments. Maybe I can. Oop, no. Okay. I've never done it like this before. I've never done this. Or maybe if you do like this, no? Do like this, do like this, do like this. Oh, right. I can't see anything. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, the concept of stretching the dollar and how individualism and capitalism is sort of robbing us, or not robbing us, but like it is making us be the less efficient that we can, because stretching a dollar, technically, the more hands you have on the dollar, the more you could probably get out of a dollar, because you have more energy, more people capable of actively pulling on the money. And I do think about how, like, most of the time, I'm thinking about how when the Great Depression happened in the Black community, it did not affect the Black community the way it affected the white community, because Black people of minority groups have always had to be community oriented to survive. So the same money that they were being given was capable of still sustaining them, because they were already existing in an impoverished environment, but also they already had a culture of the money that you use is not just for you, it's for your community. And this is actually the reason why the person was calling the churches was to check it, because the EMT, is it EMT? The EMT cards were discontinued because the government was shut down. And this is where I understand, like, even if you don't believe like spiritual stuff, like that we're a reflection of God or source or whatever you believe in, I do think that the fact that you can track how if you withhold currency from certain groups, that won't go into the economy. And if it doesn't go into the common economy, it doesn't go into different factors of the economy. And it's like you stunt the growth of the community because someone is not doing well. We are all connected. The concept of when everyone is doing well in the community is healthy. When one person in the community is not doing well, the whole community hurts, because at some point, whatever's going on with them will ripple and affect you. And this is where I'm like, I understand karma. And I think a lot of people think karma is that when you intentionally do good, you get good done to you. If you intentionally do bad, you get bad done to you. Like, sort of like Isaac Newton's laws of like every action has an equal reaction. Yes, but also sometimes karma is just like a ripple. And maybe it dissipates, but not really. There'll be like whispers of what you did. And sometimes it's not even intentional. Some of my favorite things that have ever happened to me were when I just did something and then it just showed up. It showed back up in my life and it's like, oh, okay. And also, I think people think that karma is like good or bad. And it's always like a mix of both. And then I also wanted to say, sometimes karma is a snowball and it's not an equal reaction. Something that you thought was so minuscule and tiny ends up being a big deal. So when you withhold money when you withhold money from someone and people start suffering, you will start suffering. And at least you can track the currency. And this is where I'm just like, what was I going to say? Money is current, like currency, like liquid. And how money is actually pretty malleable, especially like when you say stretch, you think of elastic. And elastic is technically solid, but it's very fluid. It's very movable. I just spit, my bad. And I don't know. But yeah, I think, no, there was one more thing that I wanted to say. Oh, I was talking about how because I have old notes, have a lot of old notes. The human body has like an average handspan of like 1 meter. So imagine how far you could stretch a dollar if you had all the people in your community stretching that dollar, because that money isn't just for you, it's for your community. Of course, you are allowed to have money for yourself. At the end of the day, individualism is not innately bad, and you're supposed to take care of yourself and then take care of your circle and your circle and circle. But if you get tunnel vision and you can only focus on you and the closest people around you, that is dangerous. And the thing about tunnel vision is often survival mode. So this is where I'm just like, capitalism is bad because it puts everyone in a state of survival mode. And at the very least, if you're survival mode, tunnel vision, you are robbing yourself of experiencing every aspect of reality because you can only focus on that one thing. When there's so many things happening, so many things to enjoy, so many things to look out for. That's another thing about like tunnel vision. You're focused on this one problem. There's other things coming at you at different angles, but you're tunnel vision because you're in survival mode. And this is why when people are like, oh, they talk shit about like people who didn't vote well because they were focused on like going to work and they don't have time to actually be politically aware. And people are like, well, they need to be aware, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they are currently trying to survive. They like genuinely, when I said your most valuable resource is time, you cannot get that back. The way that they have tricked us into using up so much of our time just to be given scraps is crazy. I think that was my point. I didn't really want to talk shit about the church. I mean, I did sort of, but like the church is meant to be community oriented, and it seems like a lot of churches are profit, like they're for profit. And they won't say they are, but they are for profit organizations. They should be taxed. Unless you can prove that you genuinely are community oriented and your goal is not to make money or to hoard wealth. That was the part that I was going to say. I want to be someone who makes 8 figures. But then I thought to myself, if I don't actually understand how much money is worth in the grand scheme of things, but I was like, if 8 figures could sustain 5 households and I'm just keeping it in my house and I'm only sustaining 1 household, is that not like, I don't see it as stealing, but I do see it as problematic because there are people who don't even make enough to maintain their 1 household. They, like when I say survival mode, it's not even like survival because they are not surviving. They are having a very slow death. They have very slow deaths. They're just prolonging their death with the little scraps that they give you. So in my mind, it's just like, is it wrong that I want to be an 8-figure earner when that 8-figure could be reallocated into my community where we could all be well? And that's why when people are like, there is no ethical billionaire, there is no, like, how do you maintain all that wealth when there are people who cannot eat tonight? Because I still grew up in a capitalistic society. I definitely understand the concept of I worked for this money, I deserve this money. I really do. But to some extent, it's like you're acting like the person, your neighbor who could get evicted next month didn't work hard to have their house. And like this is why I'm just like, money is like a social construct. It is also, yeah, it is. I said I was malleable and flexible. It's also abstract. It's barely real. And then the last thing I think that I wanted to bring up was how there were some church members saying that, oh, that was the devil and they were testing and tricking us. And I don't think people, like, I generally am confused what people think the devil is. And that's the thing. My religious beliefs are a bit more abstract. I don't think I have like a true concrete thing. I can understand how it's just like we are all reflections of God. God is real because we are real. And someone was talking about how we made fun of native populations for praying to the earth or the sun, but like the earth and the sun are real tangible things. But had Christianity stayed a thing where you were really worshiping the collective, your community, how we are part of the universe, how we are part of source, that is also real because your neighbor is real. But that's not what Christianity really is today. Though I do somewhat, to some extent, still believe there is some higher being entity that you can pray to that is outside of the body. Oh, and that was another thing that I wanted to say. Like, if one part of your body is sick, your whole body is sick. It will affect you. So like, Like, how can you let your church member, how could you let a member of your community suffer? That is going to affect you. If you're part of a collective, you're part of a unified identity, you cannot be so individualist to think, oh, that's not going to come back to me. That is going to come back to you. But then let's get back to the devil and testing. I do sort of kind of believe there's probably like spirits or something that like to play around or like antagonize humans. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but like the same way that I'm just like, we are reflections of God. We were made in his image. We are sort of kind of God, where two or more are gathered in my name, I am there or whatever. So it's like when we sit, we are God, the collective. And that's where you have to like, you got to check your ego but there is also, I think, a proverb where it's like, well, if my father is God, then I am a God. Sorta. But you got to check your ego on that. Like, you are powerful. You're capable of doing great things. When I said, like, hey, you are also a reflection of God. So when you give to a person who's impoverished, you are letting God use you as a vessel to enact his will, to enact a fulfillment of a prayer, of a wish. You are technically acting, you're like a surrogate. You're a surrogate for God. In the same way, I do think people are also a surrogate for the devil. People do evil, awful things, but also sometimes the devil isn't even doing evil, awful things. They're just testing you. They're just putting you through a trial. They're just saying, are you really actually going to listen to what God has told you to do? And you can get mad at the other person, but really you're the one who failed the test. Adam and Eve is like the first example. God told you, don't eat that fruit. The devil comes along and asks you, hey, you should eat that fruit. That's a test. That's a temptation. Yes, it's wrong that someone's trying to tempt you, whatever, but at the end of the day, it is genuinely your fault that you did not pass that test. And this does connect to like Saturn imagery. I do think Saturn is very much a devil motif. But the thing is that you won't fail if you just study the test. If you study for the test, you won't fail. So had Adam and Eve just remembered, hey, God told us not to eat that fruit and just didn't eat the fruit, we wouldn't be in this mess. And you could say, oh, the devil is wrong for tempting them, testing them. That's what it's here for. You need to do your part. So you can get upset that this lady tricked you or something and we're going to get rid of the devil. You failed the test and you're upset and it hurts your ego and you know that you failed. This is you. And the same way we're like, yeah, but that was also God. Like God is known to use the devil to see what's going to happen. That's why it's just like, I don't think I'm Christian, but like, I do see like the dynamic between God and the devil. The fact that they still have conversations today is like yin and yang. Like there is no devil without God. There is no God without the devil. So you can be upset that someone tested you on really, are you going to be a reflection of Christ and really provide for the needy? But you failed it. Now you're upset with them, but you failed it. Because the people who passed, they got like donations in because then the community realized this is a trustworthy organization that we can give money to because they will reallocate it to people who need it. That old man who's just like, no, like I don't want that baby to starve today, blah, blah, blah. What's your name, number, blah, blah, blah. And people saw that video and like, I think they got like, well, when I last checked, they had like $9,000 get donated to them around the world because people had something to have faith in. He was a reflection of Christ. He was a reflection of he cares about his community. He doesn't want his community to hurt. You're upset that you failed. And not only did it make you look bad, but people lost faith in you. And that's gotta hurt. But I don't know. Those are my 2 cents-ish. I will obviously come back to this concept because I think about like religion and how we were like, no, when people are like, we were made in God's image, and then there are other religions that are like, no, our gods were made in our image. There's a mirroring. There is a reflection. If you don't know how to act right, that makes your God look bad. Do you want your God to look bad? No, then just do right. Do you want your community to look bad? No, then make sure that everyone in your community is doing well. Don't let like no child left behind. Don't let anyone left behind. Is that proper English? Probably not. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching. You should totally follow me and comment, and let me think. I have TikTok, Instagram, Substack, and then I am going to have my Shopify up in like a week or two. So thank you so much for watching. How do I leave?